So you want to play PCVR games on your Quest and you don't want to go through the hassle of using Oculus Link because, let's face it, it's terrible. I know that may seem a little hypocritical given my last video, and many of you in the comments pointed out other solutions to a more stable and less laggy VR experience with tools like Virtual Desktop. And that's why in this video we're going to be testing and comparing 3 Oculus Link replacements, that of which being Virtual Desktop, Steam Link, and ALVR. And if you're wondering why my face is all red, yes, I just got done testing them. I don't care. Let's go. Now, before I get into any of those, I'd like to bring up 2 settings on your router that I would recommend swapping. Now, before I mention them, I would like to say that these 2 settings can cause more performance issues and may cause compatibility issues with older routers and older devices. So, if your router doesn't have it, or it causes more harm than good, which it might, disable them immediately. These settings being OFDMA and MU-MIMO. These settings can mitigate bandwidth issues, but again, might cause more harm than good, so turn them on. If it causes problems, turn them off. To enable these, you're going to need to access your router settings, which most of you can do by going to your gateway address or looking on the back of the router for instructions. Unfortunately, almost every router settings page is completely different, and some routers may not even have this feature available to change, which is why, unfortunately, I cannot provide instructions on how to change it for you specifically. Your best bet is to look in your router's advanced and wireless settings. Personally, I only have OFDMA enabled on the 5 GHz band, which is the band that my Quest is connected to. Okay, enough router settings, let's talk about the real deal. For reference, I have a Ryzen 7 3700X, an RTX 2060, and a Quest 2. The first tool I'm going to talk about is Virtual Desktop, which has given me the greatest performance out of all 3 options. Unfortunately, Virtual Desktop is not a free solution. It is $25 USD on the MetaQuest store. If you're considering Virtual Desktop, though, do not buy it on Steam. The app that I'm showing here is completely free, Virtual Desktop Streamer. It'll be one of the links in the description. And you're going to want to buy the Virtual Desktop client, which you can find on the MetaQuest store. Again, link will be down in the description. In other words, you're going to want to buy Virtual Desktop on your headset, not your computer. Here's a little bit of what I recorded running Virtual Desktop.
And this is Virtual Desktop, which I can actually notice the 120 frames being spit out to the headset. The visual quality is a tad worse than Steam Link because I have the graphics setting in Virtual Desktop set to the equivalence of an RTX 2070, whatever that is. All I know is that it says RTX 2070 next to the setting. The tracking seems to be pretty good. The only reason I'm missing is because my arm's a little sore right now, and not the greatest Beat Saber player in the world. Nobody's perfect. Overall, Virtual Desktop has given me the greatest performance out of the 3 options in this video. Oh, that combo. Oh, that's satisfying. Can I end with it, though? Can I end with the combo?
Okay, now let's go over some settings. On the Virtual Desktop Streamer app, there's only really one setting that you need to worry about, that of which being the preferred codec. HEVC may cause higher latency due to the encoding and decoding complexity as compared to H.264, so this is one of those settings where you're just going to have to test each one and see one works best for you. Now let's hop in the headset and change some settings there.
Alright, so here we are on Virtual Desktop on the Quest. Now, we're going to go to the Settings tab at first, and I want to point out this Use Optimal Resolution checkbox, which I've ticked off. I have a 1440p primary monitor, and Use Optimal Resolution will drop that to 1080. This isn't really a requirement, but if it bugs you that Virtual Desktop changes your resolution, go ahead and tick that off. The environment quality, I'm pretty sure, only affects the environment that's around you when you're not in a game, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. The frame rate, you can set that to whatever you want. You can set it to 120, you can set it to 60. I recommend 72, just starting off and going up higher if your computer can handle it. The desktop bitrate does not affect VR. All it does is change the bitrate in which your screens are being streamed to you. I have it set to 24 because it doesn't matter all that much to me, but if you want to watch movies or play non-VR games with Virtual Desktop, consider raising it. Now we're going to go into the streaming tab, which is where we're going to change all of our VR-related settings. I have my VR graphics quality at medium, which is the recommended for an RTX 2070, but definitely consider raising it if you're not experiencing any lag on medium and you want higher quality. The VR frame rate I have set to 120 for my use, but I definitely recommend starting at 72 if you have a mid to low end system. The VR bitrate is what handles the quality of the image. If it's set to 10, you're going to have a very, very blocky and probably unplayable experience. I have mine set to 120 here, but I recommend starting at 40 or 50 and going up higher if your computer can handle it. This is one of those settings that you're going to have to tweak yourself and figure out what works best. Sharpening and gamma, I have these both set to 0 and 1. These are purely my choice, and you can pick whatever you want. If you find yourself juggling all these settings and you're not sure what's causing issues, I definitely recommend turning on Show Performance Overlay, which you can press both thumbsticks in at the same time, and this can help you figure out what's causing lag.
And now my face is even redder. Yay! Oh, and would you look at that? I actually forgot a setting. This audio streaming setting right here. I have this set to computer only because I want the audio to go straight to my headphones. But if you want the audio of your game to go to the headset, click VR headset only or VR headset and computer, whatever you want. The next tool I want to talk about is Steam Link, which is completely free and surprisingly easy to set up.
So to set up Steam Link, it's not the hardest thing in the world. You just need to make sure that your headset and your computer are on the same network, preferably 5G. Mine's right here. I'm going to click connect. You're going to see a code, obviously put that in on your computer. After you click confirm on that pop-up, bam, Steam VR immediately. Bye.
This pop-up I completely disregarded when I was recording, but if you want audio sent to your headset, you're going to want to follow this.
The video quality is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The tracking seems to be perfectly fine, even though my headset doesn't have the greatest internet right now. The frame rate it looks like it's locked to about 90.
Hi, Editor Ant here in the dark. The rest of the footage for the Steam VR segment completely corrupted, but that frame rate issue can be fixed by getting into Steam VR settings. Overall, Steam Link is okay. I found it comparable to Oculus's Quest Link, and I also had some very minor issues with tracking. And finally, we have ALVR. Now, ALVR is open source and completely free. However, it is the most advanced option out of the three.
Okay, so here's ALVR at the most optimal settings that I could get it for my use case. The tracking seems to be okay in Beat Saber. There is an instance of where, when loading into a game, the tracking is all wobbly and messed up. Whoa, okay, yeah, there's the tracking issues right there. Good God.
There are plenty of settings that can easily overwhelm you, but I'm going to go over all the settings that I found that worked for me. For resolution, I just left that at the default, but the frame rate I bumped all the way up to 120, again, because my computer can handle it. The encoder preset is something you're going to have to figure out on your own to see what works. I have it set to balance, quality was too laggy for me, and speed wasn't enough quality. Now for the video settings. This is probably going to be the most confusing part, but look me in the eyes, don't worry, we got this. I believe in you. So I'm going to click expand on the bitrate here, and I'm going to make sure that the bitrate is set to constant. And again, like with virtual desktop, you're going to need to juggle the bitrate and see which works best for you. 120 is my recommended if you have a good setup. For preferred codec, I have this set to H.264, but if your computer can handle it, I recommend trying HEVC or AV1 if you have an AMD CPU. Foveated encoding will encode the center of the screen better than the sides where you probably won't be looking, and I definitely recommend this because it is a massive performance boost. Going down to color correction here, I have this turned off personally, but if you want to adjust any brightness, contrast, saturation, anything like that, turn it on and tweak what you want. Going down a little bit more, I'm going to expand the encoder config. For rate controlled mode, set this to CBR. Filler data will make sure that the bitrate does not fall below the assigned value. I have this turned on, but if you experience any issues, turn it off. For the profile, this is obviously for H.264 only. I have this set to high, but if you experience issues, you can try main, though this may drop quality. For 10-bit encoding, I have this on because my computer can handle it, but all it is it basically has greater color depth, which is good for HDR games, but it is more demanding. Those are all the main video settings that you really need to worry about. I'm not going to touch any of the advanced settings, but if you think I missed a crucial setting or two, please let me know down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, that is Virtual Desktop, Steam Link, and ALVR. To wrap up, I definitely recommend Virtual Desktop out of the three. It's given me the best performance, however for you, it may not, so definitely consider checking out all three and see what works best. Unfortunately, VR configuration is not a given for everybody. Everybody's going to have different results, which is why I recommend checking out all three. I really hope these tips helped. If you have any tips that you think could enlighten the community, please let me know down in the comments below. I greatly appreciate everybody in the comments from the last video recommending me Virtual Desktop. It's the reason I made this video. And to wrap up, there's also a Google Doc down in the description below, which can help you improve your Oculus performance. I hope these tips helped. If they did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. It helps me out way more than you might think. And like I said in the last video, happy VR-ing. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. See ya.